I think. Guys, the fact that I'm only 2 minutes late to the stream, and I'm sorry I am, but I had a few technical emergencies just piling on when I was getting ready to start streaming. So I'm sorry for the delay, but I'm glad I made it. I do want to say, while we're getting started and while you guys are filing in, if you're looking for more sporty ASMR, hi Jim. If you're looking for more sporty ASMR after we're done here, check out AWASMR, who I think it's fair to call him a friend. I have him linked down in the description box. His 2 last videos were on F1 and then his soccer football jersey collection. So definitely check out AW if you like this content. There's going to be more over there for you to love. But good afternoon, everyone. How y'all doing? Good evening, Jim. I need to slow down and take a breath. I was panicking a second ago. What are things like where everyone is? We are having our first real snowfall of the season. Right now, we had a little tiny little bit yesterday, but nothing was staying on the ground. But now we're getting a solid, I'm thinking 10 centimeters is what's falling right now. I did think about, and Jim, you'll know this, I thought I was supposed to go to a soccer game. This happens now, in an hour. The Canadian Premier League final with Atletico Ottawa. And I even, I asked my dad if he wanted to go with me. I did the full thing. But thankfully, for the way the story goes, he said no. But I thought about going to the final, and then I scheduled this live stream, and then I realized that they were both happening at the same time. The 10 centimeters of snow that is falling makes me feel a little bit better about the scheduling conflict, but snow hasn't stopped me in the past. I should say cold, because I remember not the last game, but when I saw the game where Canada qualified for the last World Cup against Jamaica in Toronto, and it was a cold one. It was so cold, and then I also remember being very cold and maybe a little snowed in for some American football, Canadian Football League games here as well. Yeah, Jim, I don't know how the snow is going to affect the game, because I don't necessarily think that either team has an advantage here. I know that in the NSL, Toronto and Montreal are playing in Toronto. If that hasn't already happened today, I think it's happening tonight, because on all accounts I was like, it's Sunday, why are you making it an evening game? It should be an afternoon game. But it looks like they're getting a lot of snow, the same weather system. It looks like it's just as snowy in Toronto, so they're going to be playing under snow there too. And it's tricky because I think snowy games, I've been thinking about making a video about some of the snowiest games in history. We see a lot of them in American football, and then we've seen some soccer games in Canada. like in the run up to, I think it was in the run up to the last World Cup when we were playing in the snow and like our guys were like jumping in the snowbanks and stuff. But where I'm going with this is that American football kind of works when there's snow, because it's like it works in that it affects the game. Like it makes it more slippery, it makes visibility less good. But in a way, those changed conditions add a level of excitement. Whereas with soccer, where the game is played mostly on the ground, maybe less fun. Maybe less of like a fun twist and more of like a, okay, we actually can't play the sport right now. Yeah, Jim, I have a lot of thoughts on the game from last night, and I still don't know how I'm gonna talk about all of that here, but I'll message you later and share my thoughts. Yeah, rugby in the snow. Well, rugby in the snow, I can't imagine. That's also the thing, is that like barely, we were in shorts and a t-shirt. Like again, rugby has less going on the ground, but it's not good when you're just laying in it. Patrick, it's so good to see you here. I saw your message earlier because I came to the chat earlier to be like, oh, I'm gonna go see if there are chat messages that are here now and are gonna disappear before I go live so I can see them. And by the time I got to chat, all I saw was your message, Patrick, saying, why does YouTube keep deleting live stream comments? So I didn't make it in time to see the messages that were deleted this time. I only made it in time to see your message about the messages being deleted. So I'm glad you're here. Today, a couple days ago, the Adidas World Cup home jerseys, 22 nations, came out, and I thought that we could share our first impressions here together today. It's kind of like a quieter vibe today, quieter chat, but all the cool kids are here, so it's all good. So let me figure out how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna scooch this over here, and now we all have to do our scooching together. Are you ready? I'll scooch where I am. You scooch where you are. I'm half scooched. And now I've got the full scooch going. The scooch is sufficient. Have you guys scooched? So here's what we're looking at. Like I said, 22 home nation jerseys for the World Cup. The nations who have not yet secured qualification are Belgium, Chile. Hey Muzz, how's it going? That's another YouTuber that you guys need to check out if you haven't already. Belgium, Chile, Costa Rica, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Northern Ireland, Peru, Scotland, Spain, Sweden, Ukraine, UAE, Venezuela, and Wales are yet to secure qualification. Some nations have not qualified, but they're going to wear these kits in the 2026 international windows. I also already mentioned these countries, but Chile, Peru, and Venezuela. And then the Jamaica home kit is going to launch later. I think that's the only Adidas kit that we don't have yet. Also, there was a leak of the potential Nike Canada home jersey. And like, it's okay. I don't hate it. I think I'm gonna like it a lot. first impressions are like that it kind of looks like Winter Olympics 2002. Was that a Winter Olympics year? Let's say it was. It's giving Winter Olympics. It was at Salt Lake. Someone confirmed for me in the chat whether we had Winter Olympics in 2002 and whether they were in Salt Lake City. Anyway, the leak was like on a long sleeve jersey, which and the whole it's not a pattern, but the print in front. Thank you, Jim. Salt Lake City is right. 2002 was, oh, guys. Look at me just testing my sports knowledge right off the old dome. Yeah. I feel like with the long sleeves, it's giving me very much like a speed skating national team uniform, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I can't wait to see if the leak is the real thing. Patrick says Netherlands will be present. Listen, I've said this before. I'm glad that Canada qualified for the World Cup. One World Cup before we got in by default, because it kind of proves that we belong there. But I think we'll be in the same situation, Patrick, where we show up, we're there, we're the hosts, but that's maybe as far as it'll go. Okay, so without further ado, let's pull up our first country. I think we're gonna be pretty good with alphabetical order. No, because I'm just gonna follow oh, you know what, maybe some are missing. I was gonna say I'm gonna follow the descriptions from Adidas, but I think a couple are missing because I'm not seeing Algeria. I am seeing Algeria. We're back on track. Let's pull up Algeria. Jim says you're hoping Nigeria and Wales make it. Can't remember if Poland are out of qualifiers yet. I can only answer to teams that wear Adidas and Canada. I should be better informed on Poland, to be fair, Jim. Alright, so we're looking at Algeria here, and yeah, this is Algeria, yeah. And Adidas says, inspired by the sand dunes. Is it Algeria? Yeah, it's Algeria. Inspired by the sand dunes of the Algerian desert, the Algeria home jersey boasts a dynamic stripe graphic. We're at the right place. Stripe graphic layout in beige and white with a vibrant green finish across the neckline and shoulders. This articulation of the undulating dunes, iconic to the country, connects the team to home alongside Algeria, which appears in Arabic on the back of the neck. I'm going to move it over here so I can see it better. What do you guys think of this? I think that the pattern inside of the stripes is quite interesting. I see what they're saying by the sand dune effect. Always right. Quite right. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching the videos. What do you guys think of Algeria's home jersey? I mean, Adidas is calling them home. Let's call them primary, but this is a white. Like, they're gonna have to have a dark for their secondary. Jim says it doesn't really have any pop to it. Nice, but just a bit plain. It's a serviceable kit, but it's not something that'll stick with me, says Mario. Yeah, I'm trying to get closer to, like, is it almost a honeycomb pattern that is then has different levels of like, not saturation, but like, what's the word that I'm looking for? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to figure out what the honeycomb, like what the pattern is. Jim says could do with more green. I mean, this is what's so weird about this being the primary, is that it's there's not much going on because it's a white jersey. Patrick, not sure with the front number. We'll see as we move along. But I think that that's like the font that Adidas chose, or that FIFA chose for this tournament, and I'm also not crazy about it. People are saying, yeah, more green, more stripes. Color of the shorts are very important. Patrick, I completely agree. This is why, like, jersey rankings can be tough, because you get a completely different look when you see it paired with shorts. I'm assuming they're going to be green here for Algeria, but I'm excited to see this one on pitch and to see how much the stripes and the sand dune pattern come through. It also seems like a pretty wide scoop on the neck. If I see this without the Federation logo, do I immediately go Algeria? No. I don't think I would immediately have a guess as to which country this was. And that's not something that's necessary to these World Cup jerseys, but this is a pretty true first impressions video. I only saw some pictures really quick when I was loading them in for this video, and there's a couple that, like, as I was flipping through them, I was like, without even stopping, I know, like, that is a I don't know, what's a good example? Well, obviously Mexico, right? Like, you see a flash of Mexico and you're like, that's Mexico. So I don't think it's necessary for these jerseys to be successful, but it definitely helps. Okay, so now we can move on to Argentina. And hey, when you tell me what you think about this jersey, just forget the fact that Messi is wearing it, alright? Just so here's Argentina. Is this Messi's last dance? Probably, right? The traditional Argentina vertical stripes in sky blue and white take on a shape-shifting look with a unique three-colored fading effect, channeling the blue tones from the three previous FIFA World Cup winning shirts, 1978, 1986, and of course 2022. The back neck sees a bespoke sign-off reading 1896, celebrating the founding date of the AFA. I don't know if the founding date of the AFA is something that, like I think it'd be much more interesting to have the dates of the three World Cup wins that they have represented in the stripes. Because, like, to be honest, and maybe this is a me thing, I don't care what year Canada soccer was established. I don't have an emotional tie to it, and I would not want it on a jersey. What are you guys saying? It's hard for Argentina to do wrong. It's such a classic pattern. I don't mind the variant with the gradient too much here. And then Jim says, seeing it here, not so fond, but saw it earlier, and that blue really stands out. Does feel retro in a good way. I agree with you too, Jim and Mario, that this should look good on field. I feel like this is one that I had seen before, because I had seen, like, I feel like Argentina has played in this jersey or has been photographed in this jersey before now. When I first saw it, I was like, why are we doing this to their stripes? Like, that's their calling card. But now that I hear the reasoning behind it, I think, and this will be the case, I'm adjusting the scooch. This will be the case, I think, with a lot of these jerseys for me, is that they're gonna, like, I will see the potential of them growing on me. And I'm seeing the potential here. But I'm not, like, necessarily an Argentina fangirl. Like, I know that some people are. So I'm coming into this one pretty neutral. Jim says the black on the shoulder is a good contrast. It definitely seems like, and yeah, we have my Newcastle jersey in the back for compare and contrast. They definitely did go with a thicker boy on the shoulders this year, didn't they? I don't hate it, but so far neither of these jerseys, both striped jerseys, as a matter of fact, neither of them are like must-haves on my list so far. Both of them are fine. I should grade them at this point, shouldn't I? I'm just going to point out any that are especially ugly or especially beautiful. How about that? And that will take us alphabetically to Belgium. And look, oh, so sorry about the bang. Let me just go back to Argentina to see about Jim's question. What do I think of the badge placement? I guess they moved it in a little bit so it fits. It's very busy up there with the Champions badge, but I think if they did move it inwards to fit inside of the stripe is probably the right call. Patrick says you are anti-Argentina. Let's see how you feel about Belgium then. It was the Euros, right, that Belgium had the Tintin kit. I think it was the Euros, because it feels more recent than the World Cup. And I think, if I remember correctly, the Tintin kit was secondary. It was not their primary. But anything they come out with in the next 10 years is, in my mind, is going to come up against the Tintin jersey for comparison. So before reading what this is all about, I'm like, it's a nice jersey. It's no Tintin. Mario says it feels too Spain. It feels very Spain. Jim says it's a boring Belgium kit. Let's see what Adidas says. Belgium's home kit takes inspiration from the prominent Gothic stained glass windows found across the nation's architecture. Icons representing the Red Devils and the Red Flames, the nicknames of the men's and women's teams, are repeated in this style across the jersey's red base. The trims of the shoulders and cuffs are finished in a black and yellow detailing, leaning into the colors of the country's flag. Okay. Did I know that they were the Red Devils and the Red Flames? I don't think I knew that. And I'll tell you what, at first glance, having not known, I guess, is that a little devil on the tag? I think that's a little devil, which is adorable. Points for that. When I first saw this pattern, without knowing about the devils and the flames, it was giving tulip to me. Does anyone else see tulips? At first glance, I thought it was tulips, and then I was like, well, this is why the tulips belong to the Dutch, right? Tulips belong to the Netherlands, and by extension, Canada. I wouldn't want tulips on Canada's jersey because it's the Netherlands, but knowing what I know now about the Red Devils and the Red Flames, it's a nice idea, and it's wearable by both national teams, which is cool. Jim says they need a pipe on it to honor Magritte again. Like, they did Tintin. They could have kept going with pop culture. This one looks alright, but the number font is a bit off for me. See, again, I think the number font it's either the World Cup font or the Adidas World Cup font. But we saw the same issue on the Algeria jersey. I agree, Jim, that it would be a great top to play five-a-side in. Devil is cool. I assume a tulip or two fell into Belgium over the border. Fair point, fair point. That is how pollination works. To answer Milo's question very quickly about the next FM video, I have one banked from when the game was still in beta, so I'll release that this week. Problem is, people are hating Football Manager. I'm gonna continue with my save. Like I said, I banked one, so the next episode is gonna come out this week, and then we'll keep going after that. I am on break though from play. Like, I haven't played since it's been out of beta, but I'll get back on the horse. But boy, has that been a mess. Like, the online communities, Reddit and whatever, are not impressed. And even here, like, when I say nice things about the game, people are always in the comments going like, yeah, but that's not enough. And I kind of see. Side note, what I thought about doing, because I'm in a situation now where I have friends in real life who are in the game, and I think I can convince one of my friends who's a performance analyst to sit down with me. She doesn't play football. I don't think knew about Football Manager before I told her, like, you're in this game that I'm playing. But I want to, and I think she'd be up for doing ASMR, so I want to bring her on and have her react to, like, her ratings. The funny thing is that they already got, like, her name is there, her team is there, but her age, like, I think she's 10 years older in the game than she is in real life. So I know that they haven't scouted her, and I know that her stats are not gonna reflect what she is capable in real life. And I haven't fully scouted her in the game either yet, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to get her to come on the channel and react to her Football Manager rating. What are you guys saying? Jim says, yeah, people are really unhappy. Real life, in-game editor. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Yeah, Patrick, she's not a player. I know, like, I actually haven't checked if sort of the local Canadian players have all the right info in terms of, like, date of birth and stuff. But for technical staff, they definitely don't check up on people's ages, and she is my age. And I think in the game she's like 40 something, so like 20 years older. Alright, let's move on to, and this is one that again, when I was dumping them in, I saw this one, and I remember, and this is right after I saw the Canada League, and there's a similar, it's almost as though the print, like, is done in a very similar way, except that the print on the Canada Jersey League is a maple leaf, which is a symbol of our country and makes sense. But this, I haven't read the reasoning yet to me, are they trying to make it look like a superhero costume? Either way, at first glance, I like the white stripes. What is this? Yeah, I don't know what their sources are. I think they probably just get like a list of technical staff for teams, and then they'll input like their names. I don't even know if they input their gender, because, and this just might be like an FM26 bug, one of many, but I've had many technical staff and coaches in my game be missed, like where they'll just use the wrong pronoun. Like they'll talk about a woman coach on another team and they'll call her he, and they'll do the game is a mess, guys. And from beta and day one, it was pretty much the same game from what I've seen. Back to jerseys. Oh wait, we've got another before we move on. Jim says, would I go back to FM24, or is it too weird if it's not as current? I would definitely go back to FM24. I think someone would have to teach me how to like put in not patches, but like, I don't know why I can't find my word. I know why I can't find my words today. I wrote a song. I was doing some creative work today and I lost all of it in a technological blip. What I'm trying to say is mods. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Now we can move forward. I would need someone to show me how to mod the game so that I can have like current rosters and like the licenses that are now in the game that were not there 2 years ago. And it's a shame to lose women's football, although maybe that's available with a mod too. But I'll do what I can with the Newcastle save. And then for like our proper park to Prem after, I might have to revert back to FM24. You're right. Okay, let's talk about this jersey. James says you're getting that jersey, green and white army. Okay. Mario says feels like Northern Ireland could have done better here. I think they wanted to go safe since they're not always represented at this level, and wanted something safe and easily identifiable. Yeah, let's have a look at what Adidas says. Wait a second, who am I looking at here? Oh. So this is Ireland. It just clicked that this is Ireland, isn't it? Because, oh, that changes a lot. Okay, I don't know who makes Brazil's. I'm a mess today. In my mind, this was Brazil, which makes no sense with the bad. Northern Ireland, sorry, thank you. Okay, it makes a little bit more sense because when I saw it, and for some reason, maybe it's just I glimpsed at green, yellow, and I thought it was Brazil, and I was like, what is Brazil doing here? It makes a lot more sense as Northern Ireland. I need to go to bed, guys. Okay. Ireland. Already a point up because I was like, what is this green for Brazil? What? It's because it's Northern Ireland. Let's go see what Adidas has to say about Northern don't have a lot to say, actually. They say features a teal and green base punctuated by an abstract graphic inspired by the dynamic lines of the country's architecture, connecting fans and players to the heart of the country. So, let's call it Belfast de Janeiro, moving forward. So for the people who are closer to Northern Ireland than I am, how do you feel about them saying that this reflects the country's architecture? Because I can't help but to see like a bad superhero costume with like the pegs up top. And that's a me problem, that's a perception problem. I also know I'm the problem because until 30 seconds ago I thought this was Brazil. But it is in fact Belfast de Janeiro, which is a little, like I said, it works a little bit better. I appreciate the deep green a lot more now. It's just the print that doesn't connect with me. Nike is gonna make Brazil shirts. That makes sense. Okay, so big man, what I'm gathering from this is that and now I'm convincing all of you that this is a superhero costume. Oh my god. Northern Ireland is the new Georgia of the channel. Countries that have given me problems. Georgia, Northern Ireland. I hold grudges. Okay, so I think we're all kind of meh about this one. It sounds like in the chat there's a couple people who will buy the Northern Ireland jersey regardless. But we're all seeing the pegs, right? Alright, let's move on. Let's just wipe the slate clean. And move on to back to proper alphabetical order. You understand why I had Northern Ireland placed between Belgium and Chile alphabetically. So dumb. Let's look at Chile. This feels very stock to me. First of all, let's make sure it's actually Chile. Federación de Fútbol de Chile. We're good. It feels very stock, and maybe the description will tell me that that pattern means something. They're gonna be like, the triangles represent the points of the star on their flag, or something. But like, I have a problem since, and this will loop back around to this, you'll see. Since the Great Gatsby movie came out, like a decade ago now, we've had a long history of jerseys trying to replicate that, like, that kind of art style. And maybe it was cool for like a year after the movie came out, but I'm so tired of seeing it. Where it's like, you know what I'm talking about. It's like geometry with like gradients in the background. It's overdone. It's of a different era. And what I'm looking at now, I feel like is maybe just an evolution of that. What are you guys saying? As basic as one can get. Not bad, but not great. The red does pop. It is a very nice red, I'll say that. Looks like a club's training kit, says Patrick. I like Adidas stuff overall, but so many of their kits feel like the stock templates, that any amateur football team can buy and wear. So, let's read what Adidas has to say. If I go back up butterfly. Chile's national bird, the condor, is that how you pronounce that word, takes center stage across their home jersey. Am I looking at the right jersey? Set on a traditional red base, an all-over printed pattern echoes the feathers of the bird. Whilst on the back of the neck, the condor appears again in the form of a bespoke sign-off icon. Very Walmart bargain bin, says James. Okay, I see that there is, now that I see that there is a feather pattern, and it is maybe like a new, unique way of showing that symbolism and that imagery. So I appreciate that. I don't think Bobo. I don't think that the V is the bird. I think that the V, look at the dark V as like the base of a feather, and then the feather goes up and under another feather and under another feather. Now that they've explained it to me, I definitely see it. Should the feathers be pointing up, or would it have been better if they were pointing down? It wouldn't make that much of a difference. I like it better with the explanation than without. But like 90%, 99% of the people won't ever read the description and the reasoning behind this jersey. So it's not that successful, is it? It's a very nice color, though, especially on screen, like you say, Jim. In contrast with the green pitch really nicely. Lorenzo says, I don't see much of a difference with the Belgian tulips. Very good point. Very good point. Very similar to Wales 2016 Euros, says Patrick. None of us are very impressed. Let's move on. 2. I know I'm right about this one because of the badge. And I have something to say about the badge. Let's pull up Colombia. Colombia's federation badge on its own is a friggin' eyesore. But when it pops up on a jersey, I'm like, I know that's a Colombian jersey. And that's a good thing. And I think I also really liked, I think one of their Euros jerseys was like one of my favorites from the Euros. And I remember the badge having a lot to do with that. So it's an awful, but design-wise, terrible badge. But on a jersey, my God, does it work. Okay, so people are liking this one in the comments. Mario says Colombia rarely misses. Like this one a lot. Pattern is pretty cool. So let's see what they're saying about the pattern. Colombia. It's inspired by magical realism, an artistic style that fuses fantastic elements with realistic environments, often represented by yellow butterflies. Jim, you got your butterflies. It is paired with blue shorts and red socks, creating an unmistakably Colombian look. I'll have to see about that color combo on pitch. But I don't know if butterflies mean a lot to Colombians, but I like the idea of magical realism. I like that it's like butterfly wings making like flower petals almost. I feel like a lot of thought and attention has gone into this pattern, more so than what we've seen so far. Except maybe, like I'd put Belgium and Colombia on the same level of like General says Lorenzo. Jim says the right tone of yellow. A very good catch, big man. It feels like the Adidas. Yeah, the Adidas is like a really deep navy, and then the trim on the sleeves and the collar and the number. And I think what they have to fix in this case is the Adidas logo to be less dark, because again, like if they're going with Colombia colors, if they're gonna have, what is it, did they say blue shorts or blue shorts, they're gonna have to make sure that all of that matches. Please, God, please. Okay, Jim, I was gonna bring up Gabriel Garcia Marquez when I read Magical Realism on the description, but I didn't quite know if I was amongst other book nerds. So my question when I read Magical Realism in the description was going to be, is Gabriel Garcia Marquez Colombian? But I was afraid that that would be another Belfast de Janeiro gaffe, so I kept it to myself. But we're speaking the same language here. Patrick says it's a very in-your-face type of yellow, so I like it a lot. Wrong type of yellow can be hideous. I completely agree. Yeah, story related to the nation's heritage. Okay, so this is absolutely a Gabriel Garcia Marquez jersey. Which, you know, then if we're talking, we're gonna have to make a video about literary jerseys, if there are enough, because this brings to mind the Tintin Belgium kit and the Columbus Crew Goosebumps jersey in recent memory. There's something there. There's something there. I'm glad I'm amongst other book nerds. Okay, Jim, we're gonna have a discussion about Marquez. Yeah, okay. I won't bore the others with this. Yeah, okay, so this is definitely one of the nicer ones. I think we're all agreeing. This is one of the nicer ones we've seen so far. And from Colombia, we pop over to Costa Rica, which, wow. I mean, at first glance, I like clashy colors. Like I liked, I probably talked about this on the channel before, because I was making videos in 2023, which I think Canada still had their 2022 World Cup jerseys in 2023 before the Tim Hortons Nike jerseys came out. And those Canada jerseys reminded me of the Liverpool jerseys around the same area, where there was like a neon, definitely more red than orange, but there was like a neon color on like a deep red. I like it when things clash a little bit, and this is no different. And Jim says lush. Must says I love that. Nice says Bobo. Mario says I don't mind it at first glimpse. Big man, very good point. Wonder what this will look like from a distance. I also wonder what color shorts, or if it's going to be a patterned shorts. We'll see if they tell us in the description. Jim says lovely contrast of tones and accents. Mario says I think this will be helped with the full kit as well. And HED says this is great. I love it. Hopefully I'm not gonna find anything in the description that's gonna make me hate it. Let's see. Costa Rica home features a vibrant, all over repeating graphic print using elements such as leaves, toucans, and smiles in red, blue, and pink. All visuals that celebrate Blvd. This term, which can be found across the back of the neck of the jersey, is a deeply ingrained national attitude, synonyms with optimism, gratitude, and contentment, and harmonious living with nature, an attitude Costa Ricans pride themselves on. I gotta get closer, because if there are smiles hidden in here, I might hate it. But let me get closer and have a look. Oh, I'm trying not to bang around too much. Okay, wherever they are, it looks like they're abstract enough that I'm not like, I'm just looking at a set of teeth. Yeah, no, this looks great to me. There's like a weird spot in the bottom, our right, the jersey's left, where there's like a sun, and I'm not convinced that that goes with the rest of the print, but this is just stunning, I think. Very romantic shirt with a capital R, says James. Red, blue, and pink. I thought that was purple in the background. I think what you're seeing as purple is blue, Patrick. Big Man says smile spooked me. Makes me want to read an athletic article about it. Glad the sponsor logo is minimal. The longer we stare at it, the more we're picking at it. But overall, I think this is, I don't know if it's, maybe we're all just of the same mind here and some people are gonna hate it, but I think overall this is one that, like, among the, like, stock, you know, the Chile jersey, the potentially, I don't even remember what Belgium looked like. Oh, but yeah, Belgium was the tulips. It feels a lot less stock than some of the jerseys we've seen so far. I think it's very striking. I think making the accents white was the right call, so I'm a big fan. Curious to see what they're gonna do with their secondary to complement this. Let's move on, since we all agree, to Germany. This one leaves no question. I know this is Germany. I know I got it right. So Germany, they say championing Germany's previous successes in this tournament, the home jersey pays homage to some of the nation's most iconic shirts. The repeating diamond shape and chevron detailing are each inspired by the iconic graphics from previous shirts, including the 2014 World Cup winning shirt. My thing, like, it's a perfectly good Germany shirt because exactly as Big Ben says, it's classic. They did not reinvent the wheel. It's absolutely Germany. I feel like a mix of classic and modern for sure, says AGD. So this is the weird thing about this one for me, is that I'm not excited by it. I mean, it's beautiful. I can't even find the words. It's beautiful. The spacing between the numbers is a little weird, but we don't need to worry about that. It's a beautiful shirt. It's not one that I'm gonna remember in 2 years when we're doing the Euros jerseys. I'm not gonna go, oh yeah, remember Germany 2 years ago, because this is a Germany. Because I'm not close to Germany, this one is just gonna melt into my memory with all the other Germany jerseys, and that is neither a bad thing or a good thing. I think it's a successful jersey. It is in the completely different direction than Costa Rica. Costa Rica, I'll remember that as the 2026 World Cup primary kit for a long time to come. Germany, it's a Germany kit. Well, I won't remember it specifically, but it's beautiful. What do you guys say? Everyone's saying 1990 reference. Adidas logo being white is a bit odd. I think that was the only move here for me, big man. Mario says it's a very professional, straightforward kit. Just like the team generally is. Very good point. Yeah. Or Tim says, looks great, IMO, but I feel like for the past 8 to 10 years we've been stuck in the cycle of referencing the classics. Yeah, it's a great jersey. It's not a memorable jersey. Oh, Jim, we need to do the research on that. That's a very interesting thought experiment. Let's move on to Hungary, I think. This is Hungary, right? This has got to be Hungary. So, first glance, gorgeous red. And that's all there is to look at. I mean, with the Federation badge and both Federation badges, or it's the country's crest and then the Federation badge, like having that deep, rich red, if you're going for a clean look, gorgeous. Jim says another red boy. Big Man says I like the red. I don't know that they're gonna have a lot to tell us in the description, but let's see. Hungary's home jersey arrives in the country's traditional dark red, combined with elements of white and green to represent the colors of the Hungarian flag. The jersey celebrates the 125th anniversary of the Hungarian Football Federation with a special Jubilee logo, while the country crest and Federation logo feature above the heart and on the right side of the chest respectively. And then they are telling me what is on the back of the neck, which is the Hungarian word for Hungary. And isn't Hungarian one of those, like, famously difficult languages? I'm not even gonna attempt it. Just kidding, I'm absolutely gonna attempt it. Magyarország. Yep. So Mario says, this doesn't feel very Hungary to me. This red is nice, but I think of other countries with this shade of red before Hungary. Fair shout. But I think we're all agreeing that it's a beautiful red. Call that what you want says, I love the Bordeaux. Big Man, the crests look very classy, but very simple. Yeah, that's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not immediately shouting it out as Hungary, but it's a nice jersey. I'm glad they went with that red. If they're doing just a plain, simple, solid jersey, gorgeous shade of red. It's gonna look great on the pitch, on TV. What else can you say? There's nothing really to pick apart. Nice. I keep wanting them to call them sweater. I think I'm very much in hockey mode right now because it's snowing to no end outside. So let's just do the Canadian thing and call them sweaters. And next in the alphabet is Italy. Sound off in the chat. Adidas says, tradition meets innovation in the Italy home jersey, inspired by the rich heritage of Italian football. Let me make that reaction clear. I'm not questioning their rich history. I'm questioning how it's represented. The shirt celebrates the essence of the Federation with its bold design. Azzurra, referring to the national team's nickname, and the color of the jersey, meaning the blue, appears in gold lettering across the back of the shirt neck. Why would you put it in gold when the numbers and stripes are what can only be described as slate? I think I'm really digging into my vocabulary toolbox here. Yeah, okay. Before I can talk about what's actually going on the jersey, I have to say, and let's just call it slate, because the write-up didn't tell me what we're calling this gray color. But why is the Adidas logo in gold? And the inscription on the back of the neck in gold, but then the stripes and the trim and the number are slate? Why would you do that? You're also mixing metals here. Not that slate is a metal, but like gold on blue with gray. It would have been closer to go with silver. And it's, well, okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Okay, you guys don't like it. Looks like a dishcloth, says Jim. The blue is not azure blue, says James. Thank you for the comments, intermittently. Andy says, not a fan of this at all. Odd color and pattern choice. Mario says, I wish that silver was a little bit lighter. It doesn't quite pop as a trim. I agree that it should be lighter. The silver in the crest trim kinda is overwhelmed by the blue. Big Man says, never mind, it was dark blue, not black. Patrick says, might be a happy accident if Italy doesn't qualify again. Never mix your metals. James knows. Big Man, the more I look at the Italian shirt, the less I like it. Lorenzo speaking up for the Italians. Lorenzo, what do you think of this is the one that you said you don't like? Yeah, okay, so we're hearing from a veritable Italian that this is no good. James says Italy should be an easy kid not to mess up, but they did it. And James says deeper blue, please, this evokes little. Yeah, odd choices. You guys know, if you've been around for a while, that I like blue jerseys. I am partial. The fine, at first glance, I thought the fine was like, laurel, is that what they're called? Laurel leaves? Which would be maybe more Greek than Italian. No, I don't know. Point is, at first glance, I don't hate it as much as you guys do. I like the color of the base, like the light blue, and the color of the pattern. The darker blue is fine too. It just not necessarily a great pattern. Side note: are laurels Greek or Italian? And are they called laurels? This is what happens when we go on live instead of me sitting and taking some time to think about these jerseys. The slate color, I agree, could be a little bit lighter. Thing is, I don't really hate the slate on the blue. I see where they were going, but then they were like, oh, screw it. Let's just throw in some gold. Is where they lost the plot for me. And then having no real reason for this pattern. Okay, Alexander. With a name like that, you should be able to tell us about what's Greek and what's not. Alexander says it's more Greek. They were given to the Olympian win. Okay, that's what I was thinking. And then Big Man says, I guess it's the Roman Emperor crown thing. So you see where I'm getting mixed up. Oh, so was it laurels or was it not laurels? Because I was thinking, I'm so glad that Alexander and Big Man both spoke up, because this is where my internal debate was. I was like, is this what they gave to the Olympics winners? And also, was it what Roman emperors wore? Maybe they didn't actually wear it back then. We just picture them. We just represent them wearing them now. It looks like a Christmas knitted sweater, says Alexander, and I think we'll leave it there. Point is, I think I like it a little bit more than the chat does. But it's not perfect by any stretch. Okay, and we'll settle on that. The Romans just copied the Greek things and named them differently. Very true. Very true. I have a little bit of classics under my belt from university. I did a couple Latin courses and a couple ancient history courses. Definitely Laurel, says James. Perfect. And with that, we can let Italy rest. Going to a different part of the world now. We are going to Asia. We are going to Japan. I can't wait to see what you guys think. Let's read the description. The classic blue of the Japanese home jersey is brought to life using an abstract graphic with ash blue linear details reflecting the famed haze found on the horizon where sky and sea meet in Japan. The Japanese flag sits proudly as a sign-off across the back of the neck. Let's see what you guys are saying. Oh my god, Jim, we have so much to talk about. You know what, Jim? When is Fulham losing in the cup to Newcastle? We should co-watch that and then talk about classics and literature in the background. Nice and clean, says Bobo. Nice, says Lorenzo. Lorenzo, are you a little bit jealous that Japan has this and that Italy has this? Jim says this is one of the best. Not always a fan of having the crest in the middle, but I kind of like this one, says Big Man. Andy, I don't necessarily have a preference as long as it's done well. December 16th, great. Yeah, I don't have a preference. I like that there are different ways to do it, and I like to see how they're implemented. So I've never had a preference for center badges or offset badges. I think this is nice. I think you guys are kind of convincing me in the chat that this is nicer than I thought it was. Because again, it's one of those things where I know Japan wears blue, but take off the FA crest. I could be looking at Italy. Well, it's not the right blue, but I could be looking at Italy. I could be looking at Japan. I don't know what the haze looks like in Japan between the sea and the sky. It's a nice idea, and you guys would know better than I would if that's a good representation, good abstract representation of that haze. But through the chat, this jersey is growing on me. Nicely aligned. It doesn't insist upon itself. They're the blue samurai. Gotta wear blue. Alright, you guys have made the call. This jersey is Carine approved. And nothing else needs to be said. We can move on to now that I'm looking at it, I'm what was the last Mexico jersey? I remember the last Mexico jersey. Same kind of imagery, but patterned differently. This is not a pattern, that's just a print. Let's see what Adidas is saying. Heritage and future come together in the new Mexico home shirt. This jersey represents the energy and pride that will unite generations of fans during the upcoming FIFA World Cup. It celebrates the unwavering support of a nation that lives and breathes football, where every shared moment reflects the heart of Mexico. On the back of the neck, the phrase Somos Mexico, meaning we are Mexico, appears as a symbol of the unity and passion that define the Mexican spirit. I can't say that I got all of that from this jersey. And this is where I'm like, because I agree with what I'm seeing in the chat. Big Man says, not the best Mexican shirt with this kind of pattern. Call that what you want, says overloaded. And then Mario says, here's what's probably the best one. Bobo, the pattern's not for me. It's distinctive, but the pattern is a little overpowering for me. It's way too much, says Lorenzo. Bobo says, it's too much, would have been better if they made it lighter. And Jim says, I would wear this one out and about. It's very bold but fun and references the past World Cups. Yeah, Alexander, you say, does Mexico really want to link their present to the Aztec football past? Grim. It is interesting that they've chosen. I've recently heard that this imagery that is often to the people who aren't like me, educated in the finer details of ancient sort of Central American, Mexican groups. This is often associated with the Maya. It's actually Aztec, isn't it? Found that out recently. Thought I'd share it here. This is one of those jerseys that when it popped up when I was importing them, immediately I was like, Mexico, without a doubt, even without a badge, Mexico. So to me, it's very successful in that sense. But it's like we discussed at the beginning, if you guys were here, it's not necessarily good or bad, or it's not necessarily the marker of a good jersey if at first sight you know the nation that you're looking at. I'll give it points for that, but it's not one that I'm adding to my collection. It's a shirt for the fans, says Jim. Completely agree. James said it looks like a fake shirt. And I completely agree with what Maz is saying, that it might look amazing on a sunny day. They always look different in different lighting. I completely agree. And now I'm seeing that a few people are filing into the chat. Jordy, Moose, fantastic to see you both. Thank you for joining us. And we'll end Mexico's turn on James saying, I think they were trying to make a reference to the Azteca Stadium, from what I understand. It's difficult to keep it in just that context. I mean, that's a good point. I'm assuming a lot of matches are going to be played at the Azteca. So that's especially for a year where you're hosting the World Cup, like, it's a really nice tie-in. And it's undeniably Mexico. It's just not the best. They've done better. So now here, I would include Belfast de Janeiro. But we've already looked at Belfast de Janeiro. So we can move on to Peru. Peru with their classically have a red sash. This, though, is not necessarily the classic sash that we're used to. I'm going to pull up the description. Peru says, inspired by the 3 topographical elements found in Peru, coastline, highlands, and rainforests, a red sash proudly features as an all-over graphic print across the white base of Peru's home jersey. The print is created using abstract lines, abstract line drawings, which form symbols of each landscape, such as a penguin for coastline, I'll have to have a closer look, and a forest leaf for rainforest. A back neck sign-off of Peru is formed using a similar graphic font style. Hey, what do you know? Just putting the name of your country in the back of the net. Who'd have thought? Fantastic idea. Odd position for the number, says Bobo. That's a good point. I don't mind it on the chest. It just feels a little bit too inward, like a little too central. But you guys are not liking it. Mario says I'm not sold on that sash. Patrick says very messy. James says the number is all kinds of wrong. Andy says something feels off. Jim says looks like forgot to finish painting the red line. Muzz, on the other hand, says I love that sash design. 2 colors, nice and simple. I tend to side with Muzz. I'm trying to see the penguin in the leaves. I think I might see a penguin, but I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right thing. And then when you start looking at it too long, you're like, why is there a Christmas tree bauble in the sash? And mazes. I see a leaf. I found a leaf. Spicy sash, says Big Man. Feel like they need to switch the badge and number in position and make the number white. Not a bad idea, Bobo. Alexander says could have made the sash geared around a number, so same idea. And Lorenzo says had the sash been thinner, it would have been perfect for the Chile kit. Apparently also similar to when they last qualified in 78, says Jim. Cool detail. But they also qualified in 2018. Your detail, we don't need that to be part of the canon, Jim. Shmoney piping up with, I like the subtle detail in the red, but just looks too crowded with the crest, number, and logo in the center. I think overall we're all agreeing that we're not huge fans of the numbers that Adidas have put on the jerseys this year. I'm not like blown away, but I think I like it more than a lot of you guys do. So with that, before I lose all of you to my bad taste, let's move on to I'm gonna pronounce it pre-2022 Qatar. Do you remember in 2022 when we all learned how to properly pronounce this country's name? Qatar. The last host. I pronounced Northern Ireland Brazil, so let's not be surprised. What is Adidas saying here? Designed to honor the zigzag line that divides the white and maroon sections of their national flag. The maroon home kit is punctuated by a series of darker serrated lines running down the center of the shirt, with Qatar in Arabic incorporated as a sign-off on the back of the neck. Qatar, says James. Shmoney likes the subtle detail in the red, but just looks too oh no, wait, that was Peru. Qatar. It's very like a late 90s, like mid to late 90s. Like I feel like I was thinking back to the soccer jerseys that I've played in, part of my lore, if you guys have not gone deep enough into the channel to know that this is a weird, humble brag, is that I went to the same soccer school. Well, yeah, growing up, I played for the same club as John David. So, same level of skill there. And I was thinking back to the jerseys that I wore with the Gloucester Dragons. None of them were burgundy. This color is reminding me of the color of my primary school. And the whole point of this tangent is that if you told me that I wore this jersey just without the Adidas stripes in like my board and ball team, which I was a part of in primary school, I would have been like, yeah, I remember wearing that. So it feels stock in a really weird way, because I know the zigzag comes from their flag, so it's not at all a stock detail and like a stock graphic. But if you told me that this was like a club goalkeeper template for Adidas, I'd be like, yeah, I accept it. Alexander says gonna make the other team's players feel dizzy. Lorenzo says inspired by Turin. Who else had the New York Red Bulls had a really busy like black zigzags on a white jersey. Was it this season or last season? It must have been last season. James says I like it and I'm a hater usually. That's a pretty good sign off. You know that when someone's a hater and they gotta say like, listen, if they did right with this one, that's a good sign. We prefer it without the white accent, says Andy. Do the Wales shirt, says Grayo. Grayo. Alphabetical order dictates that Wales. Save the best for last, you know what I'm saying? Evocative for me. But like the Joy Division album cover, yeah, just and then make them white and you're looking at Joy Division. Alright, I think we're all sort of underwhelmed by Qatar. So let's move on to, hey, if this one is slightly controversial due to its provenance, then how about the Saudis? Yes, sports washing is happening. We all agree. Let's just look at the jersey. Let's separate the art from the artist and just look at the jersey. This is one that when I saw the picture where they announced that they had released all the jerseys, and I saw like a weird, like they had them all hanging on clotheslines, and they had a picture of this one where you were looking up at it. I really, really, really liked it. I didn't even know a Saudi, which probably helped. But as soon as I saw that picture, I was like, that is stunning. Whoever, this is going to be one of the nice ones. Now that I'm seeing it like this, front on, I don't have that same instant attraction to it. That being said, I think it's quite nice. Let's see what you guys are saying. Called out what you want says circuit board. James is not a fan. He says money can't buy taste. Andy says, why are they playing Pac-Man on the shirt? Okay, so maybe if anything, it's like either it's really nicely done because it's a nice shirt, or it's really nicely done because of the meme potential. But either way, we're getting something out of this jersey. Bobo says no clue what the blue is doing in there. Maybe the description will tell us. Let's go find out. Jordy says no. Lorenzo says it's the final maze in the fourth Harry Potter. Mario, no idea if this is good or not, but it's certainly memorable. Not bad, says Martin. And then James says it really evokes the Arabic style of intricate architecture. Reminds you of flooring in a good way. I love that you guys are going off in the comments. Patrick says, part of the comedy festival, probably because this kid is a joke. You guys have jokes, and I love it. We have the best chat in all of YouTube. Adidas says, the Saudi Arabia home kit presents a unique purple and dark green all-over print, inspired by the elaborately decorated doorways found in the country and featuring vibrant details borrowed from the region's lavender fields. Set against a deep green base, the striking design also draws inspiration from cherished country symbols, the falcon and the palm tree, but partnered with geometric patterns to create a modern aesthetic. Yeah, Alexander apparently is purple and not blue. And Jim, I completely agree. I like the shirt, but not the regime. It's a nice shirt. I like it. Again, the color thing might just be a lighting thing. It also just might be like the purple next to the green. Because it's next to green makes you think that it's blue in your mind. Alexander says there's some purple around the collar. Big man likes it. And Muzz. Muzz reminds us that it is a printed circuit board, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I hate to say it, but I like this shirt a lot. Alexander has brought my attention to the collar, which I'm not. The collar, which in my accent, that kind of sounded like color. The collar. I'm not a huge fan of how it fits with the rest of the jersey, but I like the jersey. I like the jersey. I mean, I always say the caveat that I was a Newcastle fan before the takeover, and that's why I'm a Newcastle fan. I wouldn't have become a Newcastle fan after the takeover. I know it's problematic, but they've got a chokehold on me. Between this and that, let me stop here. Yeah. The blue dots make a praying mantis face, says Alexander. Oh no, I can't unsee it. I can't unsee the praying mantis. Great catch, Alexander. I like this jersey. I'm sorry. I like it. I'm sorry. Unsubscribe now. She's problematic. Alright. Swiftly moving on. Muzz. I need your voice loud and clear for this one. Everyone, Muzz gets the first word on this jersey. It's Scotland. I'm going to read the description. On Scotland's home jersey, the traditional saltire, I'm not familiar with that word, found on Scotland's flag, the Scotland flag, takes center stage as a repeating deep blue pattern across the customary home jersey blue. The saltire graphic is also featured across the back of the neck as a sign-off detail. What do we think? Andy likes it. Think it will pair well with the kilts at the games. Muzz says that's minimally beautiful, and I'm absolutely not biased. I'll be honest with you, at first glance, and I think this is a me error, I did not catch on to the saltire. Jim, is that what you're trying to tell me? Saltire? Saltier? Muzz says we never qualify, but we have pretty football kits. You know what, Muzz? You guys have great rugby kits, jerseys, uniforms, in my opinion. Collar blends nicely, says Alexander. Completely agree with that. Yeah, I didn't. This is absolutely a me problem, and I see that now. I didn't immediately catch that was the Saldar, the Scottish flag. But it's good. How do I feel about the gradient? Fine. If Moz likes it, I like it. By the way, guys, if you are a fan of the Scottish accent, if you like accents in your ASMR, check out ASMR Muzz. Muzz's channel. The channel of ASMR Muzz. Jim says it's like every Scotland kid, but that's a good thing. Patrick, like me, likes all blue kids, so it's a yes for him. You know what, Bobo, you're completely right. That's a great catch. That is a different font for the number. I'm also trying to figure out if the number is actually embossed or if it's just an emboss effect from the outline. That's not an outline, it's an inside line. But yeah, what a nice change of pace for the numbers, honestly. James says simple and nice. Pattern is better blended. We got classy look. I hope we can qualify, says Andy. Huge games in next few weeks against Greece and Denmark. Ooh, how's the men's Danish team these days? I've been following the women's Danish team, but I feel like I'm out of touch with the men's. Good luck, Andy. Good luck to the Scots. And then Alexander has to throw a wrench in everything and say it reminds him of the X Factor vote display above the stage, and now I like the praying mantis eyes. I cannot unsee that. It's absolutely an X Factor jersey. Maybe the blue saves it. Awesome. Well, great work to Scotland, and good luck in the next few weeks in the international window. That leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jerseys. We'll have this wrapped up in a cool 2 hours. So next is Spain. I'm gonna let you guys sound off a little bit before I say what I have to say. Jim, how much? And I'm asking Jim, but anyone, I know we have Scots here, so anyone who knows, tell me. Is there I feel like there's a lot of meat in Scottish cuisine, which might not work for me. But I believe it. Meat is good. Bobo says another number font again. Oh yeah, I guess it is different. But I would put it in the same category as the numbers that we've seen that we don't like. Scotland wins the numbers game. Mario says, I always tend to like Spain's look. No different here. Lots of stripes, but I think it's neat. Maz says, that's bold. I kind of like it. My thing is, think this is Spain's fault. I think this is Salt Lake's fault. I think it's Salt Lake. Is it Real Salt Lake? In the MLS? I think that's, why am I blanking? I think that's the team name. They never get it right for me, and they use the same colors, and so I see this jersey and I immediately get like triggered because I get reminded of the ugly Real. I think it's Real Salt Lake, but I feel like something I'm saying here is wrong, but you guys will know what I mean. Scott says, looks like 3 shirts hanging up in front of each other. Patrick says, if you change that very dark blue to black, it's basically a Belgium kit. I see it, Patrick. Jim, not so keen on the vertical lines. Mario, it is Real Salt Lake. Okay. Kind of looks like Christmas papers, this big man. Not their best work, says Alexander. And then there's also talk of Scottish cuisine, which I'm computing. I just want you guys to know. I was at Jim talked about veggie haggis. I'm pretty sure that's a very funny joke, isn't it? Alright, let's see what Adidas has to say. It arrives in a clean, see, I wouldn't call it clean because it feels very busy, but they say in a clean pinstripe finish with the red base punctuated by repeating yellow vertical lines that draw visual cues from the national flag and crest. The spirit of the nation will be carried by the players, and the word España seen written on the back of the shirt neck. I think I'm just triggered. I don't like this. Oh, Jim. Okay, Jim, you're gonna have to tell me about actual, real veggie haggis. Samuel Blanchon says, I want Adidas again for the France jersey. Nike sucks. Not their best work, says Alexander. Yeah. No, I don't like it. Let's move on to Sweden. Oh, baby, that's a bright IKEA shirt. Let's see what Adidas says. The traditional yellow and blue colors associated with Sweden's home shirt are given a modern twist to pay homage to the country's 70s era. The design features a tonal graphic built into the fabric, inspired by the popular flower stitching commonly found on jeans and traditional Swedish folk dresses from the era. Oh yeah, I forgot we were in the 70s. Then I was like, are we really sewing flowers into our jeans in Sweden in 2025? I don't know about that. The nostalgic design allows fans to celebrate their heritage with a fresh yet familiar aesthetic, which is completed with modern typography on the back of the neck, reading, I should know how to pronounce Sweden in Swedish, but I'm not gonna try. It says Sweden in Swedish on the back of the neck. I feel more comfortable butchering Hungarian than I do butchering Swedish. The big man says the white stripes is kind of different. Muzz says it's perfect. Mario says no mistaking Sweden ever, and I think that's the takeaway for me too, is that this is a Sweden jersey. This is one of the ones like Mexico that I only had a glance at and I was like, I mean, I guess it could have been Ukraine, but big man says, zooming in on it, I actually like the fabric pattern a lot. And he says, I feel like the blue always complements the Swedish yellow beautifully. Jim says, I like it, but minor bias as my surname is Swedish. Of Polish, it's extraction. Very interesting. And remember being entranced by the kit when young. Just a bit bright in it. Very bright. Brilliant. I like it, says Lorenzo. Was Sweden particularly strong in the 70s? Like, I want to know a little bit more about why they chose to do this callback to the 70s. But otherwise, I think it's one that, for the most part, we're all agreeing in the chat is like, it's an effective Swedish jersey. Patrick says very unlikely that they'll qualify, but this is a very nice Sweden shirt, nothing too crazy. And then Shmoney, on the other hand, says that when you zoom in on the pattern in the yellow, it kind of looks like a rubber glove that you would wash dishes with. Safe to say it's very clean then. Well, Shmoney has taken Andy's place, or Alexander's place, and now I can't unsee the dishwashing glove. Jim, you know what, Jim? It won't trigger me too bad if Isak wears it, because the fact of the matter is that while Liverpool is doing a lot better than Newcastle, don't get me started on Newcastle's game today. Oh, Anyway, while Liverpool is outperforming Newcastle, I would argue that maybe Voldemade is outperforming Isak on the season. So, Liverpool can keep their Isak, and he can wear this jersey, and I'm over it. Maybe I should just favor the German jersey. We haven't gotten into a ranking of these jerseys in this video, in this stream, and obviously we won't, but if we did, at this point I would just make sure that the Germany jersey is ranked above the Swedish jersey. Alexander says, as an NFL fan, this looks like a yellow flag. Muzz, yep, totally agree. He says, you walk into the living room and see a game on TV with a team wearing that, and the first thing you say is that Sweden? Like I said, I completely agree. You could think it was Ukraine, but I think we tend to go to Sweden first with like recency bias. Norman, thank you. Is that a formal ask? Bobo says Liverpool lost good today too to Man City. Yeah. There's not a lot of teams they can lose to this year, but Man City is one of them. Isak is underperforming. I'm a happy girl. Big Dan Byrne has questions to answer. He sure does. I mean, they were playing for that second yellow. Like, there were a couple instances where they took a couple of falls. Brentford did, and it didn't draw the yellow, but that second yellow was completely fair. Like, Big Dan Byrne should, you know you're on a yellow. And then Nick Pope got his, we won't call it a concussion, but he took a knock and he came off, and Ramsdale came on, and all love and respect to Ramsdale, but he's cold on the season, and he had to face that penalty. It's just, yeah, things took a bad turn on that game, just all around. Patrick says, not a great day or week to be an Ajax fan either. Germany kit with Voldemade on the back if Newcastle finish above Liverpool. Patrick, we're doing it. You've got my word right now. If Newcastle finish above Liverpool in the table this season, I'll get a Germany kit with Voldemade on the back, and I'm gonna wear it for every video until, well, I was gonna say until the World Cup, but there's not. I mean, we're talking May to, it's not gonna be that long. I like the idea of wearing the same jersey in all of my videos for the next 6, 7, 8 months. Big Man says, I usually tell Ukraine and Sweden apart by the color of their shorts. I love that. And I'm not even going to read that comment, Jim. We will soon be at Ukraine, but first we have to talk about UAE. And here's what Adidas has to say. Here there. I guess, you know what? Alphabetically, Ukraine would come next. But because I have it sorted as UAE and not United Arab Emirates, it's the next one that came up. The United Arab Emirates jersey arrives in a fresh white base that is enlivened. Sometimes my English decides that it doesn't want to anymore. Enlivened with red accents and a unique gray graphic across the shoulders and arms. The geometric pattern takes its visual cues from the shield shapes found on the Federation crest. Geometric pattern takes its visual cues from the shield shapes found on the Federation crest. Let's have a look at this. Oh, just the Federation crest isn't a shield shape, is what they're referring to. Well, what a boring idea. Mario says, what's going on with those shoulders? Bobo says, I think I'd rather have the gray pattern of the whole shirt. Yeah, it doesn't quite hit, right? Like, this is another one where you're like, okay, it's a stock. They're gonna tell us. I'm sure you can hear that. I wonder if it's a snowplow. They tell us that the pattern is taken from the Federation crest, but crest shield, but it's just a shield, isn't it? Like, there's nothing about a shield crest that makes me go, UAE. Mario's underwhelmed. Jim says it's fine. Another state that has a bit of sports washing issue, absolutely. It isn't all that exciting. Here's the thing, Jim, and everyone. At least if the Saudis are gonna sports wash, they're gonna make it interesting. This is boring sports washing. Why would I care? I think we can kind of just move on from this one, because I think we're all just very underwhelmed and have not much to say about this jersey. Wait a second, Patrick does have something to say, and that is that you like the shoulder bit. There's just too much white, making it a boring bottom half shirt. Bore washing, says Big Man. Yeah, listen, if they're gonna sports wash, they need to take a cue from the Saudis, I think is what we're saying. Alex says, the gray looks like those metal anti-slip plates on fire truck steps or something. You're absolutely right. I know exactly what you mean, and yes. Alright. Let's move on. Alexander has put the final knife in this shirt. And now we go to Ukraine. Okay. Yeah, no, this is not very Sweden. I think they made a good... Could you see this and think Sweden? If they didn't have the Federation crest. Let's see what Adidas says. The Ukraine home jersey is a tribute to the nation's rich heritage and traditions. The traditional bright yellow and blue kit incorporates a subtle repeating graphic built into the shirt in a darker yellow color, with the pattern taking its inspiration from the shapes and elements found in the Ukrainian coat of arms. A black neck sign-off, which has Ukraine and Ukrainian, completes the design. Bobo says cool pattern. Jim says definitely evokes Ukraine. Alexander says actually nice. It's a very Swedish Ukrainian shirt, says Big Man, because I feel like Ukraine rarely has Adidas. Maybe that's why. And it, it's probably I think definitely has something to do with Ukraine taking up more space in our collective consciousness since the invasion started a few years ago. Because I wonder if Adidas, I want to tread this carefully. Would Adidas be making Ukraine's jersey if Ukraine wasn't taking up more brain space than it historically has in the last couple years? Because of financial reasons? Probably not. But at the end of the day, it's a fantastic thing that Ukraine is getting shirts made by Adidas, because we get a beautiful product like this. Mario says it's fine. Jim says Ukrainian traditional dress is stunning, and they bring a pop of that in here, I think. It's definitely a really, really, really nice jersey. I think a standout in recent Ukraine jerseys. On its own, not my personal favorite, but it's a very, very nice jersey. And it feels like we're kind of on the same page here. Jim says they have a history of strong football. I'm not talking about football specifically, though, Jim. A big man gets it. They usually have a smaller manufacturer. They had smaller manufacturers until Adidas took over very recently. And I just have to wonder if there's a tie there between Adidas becoming their manufacturer after you know what I mean? I'm talking outside of football. It's just very interesting to look at the timeline. But a nice jersey. I don't know. They're telling us that the 17 to 23 Bobo, is that pronounced Joma or Yoma? But that's what I'm referring to, because I remember the last time that we looked at their jerseys, that it must have been for the Euros then. No, it would have been for the last World Cup. Anyway, Ukraine jerseys have been not this nice until 24 onwards. But yeah, no, really nice jersey. What I was gonna say is, I don't know why they're saying that Ukraine is written in black on the back of the neck if everything else is blue. Why wouldn't they just do blue? Probably because Ukraine, I don't know if, I can't quite tell if Ukraine on their Federation logo is in black or in blue. If it's in blue, then on the back of the neck they just should have it in blue as well. That leaves us with two jerseys. Venezuela. Yeah. Ukraine's 24-25 was basic yellow and blue by Adidas. Not much to say there, says Bobo. for the reminder. Venezuela. For some reason, I can't say Venezuela without mentally going, its capital is Caracas. I don't know why. There's no other country that when I think of the country, I think of its capital. Help. That's a very good point, Alexander. It might be an homage to their soldiers. Venezuela here. The burgundy red of Venezuela's home kit comes to life with an all-over abstract print inspired by the shapes and topography found in the Tepuy Mountains. A back-neck sign-off in gold reads La Vino Tinto, the Federation's official name. Yeah, I mean, the color makes sense for La Vino Tinto, doesn't it? Let's see. Jim says, no, you're saving the best for last, but this is nice. James, it's a party on the beach shirt. Not sure how I feel about that. Mario says, I like this. Give me more purple kits. And Jim, this is one instance where we don't think of the same thing. I think of the capital, you think of Chavez. It's all good. Bobo says the light doesn't make it look burgundy red, but it's a nice looking shirt. And the story fits the shirt, says Jim. Yeah, it makes me wonder about how we're interpreting all the other colors, knowing that this should be burgundy rather than purple. I also wonder if we're all, depending on what time it is, and if you have night mode on your devices, if the yellow of the night mode might be affecting how we interpret this color. Alexander says, makes me want to drink some wine, which I think is the idea here. Did they say anything about the pattern? No. Oh, yeah. Inspired by the shapes and topography found in the Tepuy Mountains. I mean, it's a triangle, you know? There's nothing about this that makes me go, Tepuy. And here's the thing. If you're gonna have a mountain, abstract mountain pattern on your jersey, my point of reference, my favorite ever instance, an iteration of that is Uruguay. What am I saying? No. Oh, I went completely somewhere else in my brain. I went to the glitchy blue naturey jersey that we've talked about on this channel. What I'm really thinking about is the Monterey jersey from a couple years ago, where I think it was like a third jersey, a third kit, maybe. I need this jersey in my life. I also need the Copa. I think it was Uruguay jersey that I was thinking of, the glitchy one. I need the Monterey jersey that has that like abstract mountain pattern that is representative of the way that the light hits the mountains and the shapes and the colors that gives you. That's my point of reference for like the nicest kind of abstract mountain print you can have on a jersey. And this to me is just triangles. It could be any mountain. So this kind of falls into the stock category for me as well. And then the Adidas stripes, blue, yellow. I assume the other one is going to be yellow too. The yellow is a nice little accent pop. The blue, again, it might just be my screen. It kind of gets lost in the burgundy. And then the yellow's not repeated in the number or the sleeve trim. So I'm just kind of like, not in love Big Man says I turn off night mode for every shirt, so you were 2 steps ahead. Jim says going to get lost on TV a bit, maybe, especially on a sunny day. Alexander, Japan could pull that off with Fuji, but that's about it. I like that. That's a very good point. Patrick has turned off night mode, and now we have to start over. We have to go back to Algeria, Argentina, Belgium, Belfast, de Janeiro. We have to start all over again for Patrick. Alexander says looks more techno neon than mountain. Yeah, but it's very like kind of like cyberpunky, isn't it? It looks like those car cigarette lighters even. Alexander. Alexander, you're gonna be my go-to for like weird associations for jerseys. If I ever see a jersey and I'm like, I want to hate this jersey. Alexander, you got me. And then Jim says made some shapes on Canva and said, just say they're mountains. I love you guys. I never have a good laugh when I do these by myself. Doing these on live was definitely the right call. Alright, let's hit up the best for last now. I don't know if this is actually best for last because I don't remember what Wales looks like from my initial import. So here's the grand reveal. The Wales home kit, or home jersey at least, for the World Cup 2026 is... Oh no, I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna be a hater, I think. I'm gonna read the description while you guys tell me what you think first. The red base, synonymous with the Welsh home kit, is reimagined with the introduction of a horizontal stripe design factoring in dark green, red, and white stripes, with the official Welsh translation of the country name faintly visible in the center green stripe. This features again alongside the team motto, translating to best play is team play, across the back of the neck. Oh, I see the name of the country now. Interesting. Jim says, don't care, it's Wales. Bobo says, this ain't it. I think I agree with Bobo, but Jim says I'm wrong. Mario says I'd have to see this one on the field. And I kind of agree with that too, because I don't want to hate on it immediately. I think it has some potential. I kind of do like the way the country name is inset in that green stripe. I think what throws me off is the red stripes on the red jersey. You know what I mean? It feels like too busy for nothing, because then you've got the numbers, which is the number like font that we as a group have decided is no bueno. It like touches the bottom white line, which is very weird. And I think that's what's throwing everything out of balance for me, is the fact that the numbers touch the white line. Jim is determined to like it, even if he doesn't. Alexander says it's nice, but it reminds me of Latvia more than Wales. And then Big Man says, hold on. Does the 11 overlap? What did you find in your research, Big Man? Does it overlap? Does it touch? Is there space? What's going on? Whatever. Yeah, okay. I'm glad like James and Big Man, you're seeing what I'm seeing, and maybe, I don't know if you guys have any like background in my background's not specifically in graphic design, but I know enough to know that, I mean, even without any knowledge of graphic design, I'm like, oh, something is not pleasing to my brain. And I think it's my understanding of design that helps me understand that the problem is that. But let's see what you guys are saying. Shmani says, most beautiful piece of clothing you've ever seen. Maz agrees that it doesn't seem right, the dark red on red with a white separation. Patrick says the number is slightly too close to the line, but you like it overall. Definitely different than all the other Adidas kits. Very true. Jim, are you saying that the numbers connecting to the lines are echoing the Welsh connection to the jersey? We're really stretching now. We're really grasping at straws. The other James Day says the white lines on the strips and the number placement are unforgivable, as much as I like the Welsh. Did I do Belgium, Nick? I did do Belgium early on. We went alphabetically. This stream is going to be viewable forever and ever, so feel free to come back when we're done here and check out what we said about Belgium. Jim says, gives it a barcode feel. Alexander, the crimson red line looks like the Latvian flag. Jim was not grasping as much as I was. Yeah, maybe they could have gone, like, remove the white line that's the topmost white line and the bottommost white line. And you can even have a gradient that goes from, like, the base red, and then right at the end, before the green stripe with the two white lines, it can go darker and do like a gradient. You can still have that on one edge, like on the edges of the green line. You can have a darker red that very quickly gradients out, that's bad lingo, into the base. I don't know. I'll look for it. I mean, obviously we'll see it on pitch. We'll be watching a whole lot of the World Cup. Maybe it'll give us a different vibe on field, but it just feels like bad design here. Muzz says move all the horizontal stuff up by 2 inches and put the logo either side above it, and I feel that would be better. 100%. Big Man says, I wonder if the regulators were like, nah, the number has to be a bit higher. You know what? FIFA might be to blame on this one. They usually are. James says they were 90% there and could have been fixed so easily. Nick says most disturbing to me is the size of the white lines on the shoulders. Yikes. Yeah, that's the case. I think we discussed that, but that's the case with all of these jerseys, is that they've gone with a chunky stripe this year, Adidas, and I have my this is old Adidas, but they've definitely gone thicker. That was a stretch, like a literal stretch. I'm gonna have to fix that later. We need to have that Newcastle Brown Ale logo front and center every time. pretty good jersey, says Anovius. And then y'all are coming at me in Welsh in the chat, I can tell. If in doubt, blame FIFA, says Patrick. And I mean, that's the lesson here. Let me scooch back a little bit. I've scooched. You may also scooch back to your starting position. We've been at it for 2 hours, almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. I thought I was like an hour and a half, this live stream. But you guys showed up. You guys had lots to say, and I like that. Tell me in chat, before we get going, let me know which jersey was your favorite. Go. Fire away. I want to see. I want to take a glance. And you know what? You guys don't get to say Wales just because you want Wales to be the nicest one. You have to tell me and try to check your bias. Which one was the nicest jersey that we've seen? Muzz, is Scooch a Canadian thing? I feel like I've recently brought it into the channel. You know what else is a very Canadian thing, Muzz? My Giant Tiger cup. I don't even know if Giant Tiger is out on the East Coast. It started as a very local, I'm pretty sure it comes from the Ottawa region. It's Tigre Géant. Do you have Giant Tiger in Nova Scotia? Nat or Nath says, who wins the Prem this year? It's gonna be Arsenal, isn't it? You know what my real fear is? What if it's Sunderland? If Sunderland win the league, it would be amazing for them. It would be worse than losing Isak to Liverpool. Oh. Here's the real question. Given 2 options, A, Sunderland wins the league, or B, Isak wins the league with Liverpool, I think I give it to Sunderland. I think what I'm saying is, I think that as a Newcastle fan, I'd rather see Sunderland win the league than to see Isak win the league his first year with Liverpool. I've said it. Burn me at the stake, Newcastle fans. I don't care. Muzz, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I mean, you were there first, and you've been a big source of inspiration for me. So thank you so much for your support. I will thoughts and prayers to Scotland. Once Canada are knocked out in the group stage, I'm something of a free agent. I would lean England, but I'm willing to be swayed towards Scotland. And so far Muzz is in the lead to steal my heart during the World Cup. I mean, look, are we saying that Scotland could make it out of the group stages and not Canada? I'm just saying. Put in your pitch me your team right now, but so far in the lead is Scotland, thanks to Muzz. And Muzz says also, yes, you do have Giant Tiger out east. So there you go. What are people just making fun of me for Sunderland now? I'm just being a fatalist, Patrick. Bonjour, says Florent. Bonjour, Florent. Oh you know what, Nath? It could be Chelsea. It could be Chelsea. And Chelsea, if you saw my video where I talked about my top 10 black jerseys of 2025, I wouldn't hate seeing that black jersey up there at the top of the table. They're doing fantastic. Doing a Leicester. See, Jim, that's what I'm afraid that Sunderland are doing a Leicester. That's exactly it. I was thinking about it earlier because I was looking at the table, being like, okay, how bad is it for Newcastle right now? Because it's the worst start that we've had under Eddie Howe. Since Eddie Howe, like it's our worst start under Eddie Howe. I said what I meant to say. So I was looking at the table and I noticed that Sunderland were third or fourth, maybe not anymore since City and Liverpool played. Although, no, Sunderland were already below Man City, right? So it shouldn't affect anything. Anyway, I saw that Sunderland were maybe fourth or something in a Champions League spot. And I said exactly that, Jim. I was like, oh, they're doing a Leicester. It's been done before. And they could be doing it now. Back to the jerseys. Alexander said, none of them looked like something I'd have to have. Yeah, but the Venezuelan one looked fun to wear out. Nice shout, Alexander. And now we're just back to talk about the table. I've created a monster. Big Man says I support Germany in terms of the big ones. Sometimes England too, because it's funny that they never win. Jim says Poland. If they qualify or Nigeria, follow them. Great shout. Okay, Patrick, you weren't making fun of me. Fair enough. Big Man supports Germany because you learn German in school. See, that's my thing. It's like I learned English in school. So Jim says I fear Eddie may go within the next year. I'd be sad to see Eddie go. However, if Newcastle are watching my Football Manager videos, and if they want to talk, phone lines open. I don't have any licenses or experience, but the heart is there. Eddie Howe, the lads. I like that, James. Jim, you love the Mexico shirt, which I think was your hot take in this video, and I appreciate you sharing your hot take. It takes courage. Bobo supports the Red Devils. And Cap Verde. See, the thing is I've heard someone from that country pronounce it. I'm not going to get into more country pronunciations. What we've learned today is that Northern Ireland is pronounced Brazil, and that's all that we need to know. You know what, Muzz? I did not learn Scottish in school. However, my country, our country, Muzz, as you very well know, has a province named after Scotland. So, well, New Scotland. You know better than I do. But that could be enough of a reason to back Scotland. and also, yeah, geography dictates that England is beneath Scotland. You're opening my mind, Muzz. Well, with that, guys, we've been streaming for way longer than I planned to, but I'm so glad we are. It's just a sign that we're having a great time. I shall henceforth be known as Carine Lalonde. Like I said, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you to all the channel members for your continued support. Huddle members, I should call you now. We've rebranded. Some new exclusive content coming to the Huddle, the members only space, very soon. Thank you, Muzz, so much for your super chat today and your support that has followed this channel for a decade now. And thank you all for watching, for sounding off in the comments, for liking the videos, for just being there and watching. I really appreciate it. I absolutely love streaming and making videos, and you guys keep it so much fun and fresh. So I'm just loving it. You know, I'll leave you with this. This is an indicator of where my mind space is recently. Today, I unironically, I think for the first time ever, listened to that one song by Robbie Williams. I think it's called I Love My Life. And I unironically turned it on and was like vibing. Like, hell yeah. Oh boy, I'm gonna put myself to bed. It's only 6:30. I'm gonna turn off the stream before I say anything else embarrassing. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I had an amazing time, and I'll see you in a few days with that upcoming Football Manager video that we were talking about earlier.